Hi guys, and welcome back to my vlog. Finally, after 2 weeks, I'm now ready to talk about my quarantine experience in Brisbane. So I've been out for 2 weeks, we've changed the setting. So I've transferred into an apartment in Brisbane City, and now I'll be telling you my experience, my journey at the Rydges at Fortitude Valley. Because I tend to create long videos, we'll be cutting this story into two parts. So for this part one, we'll be talking about the check-in, the requirements, so like wearing face masks, entertainment, health checks, and COVID testing. So we'll be covering the important parts. To start with, if you've watched my video about what to expect upon arriving at Brisbane Airport, you already know that you won't be able to choose a hotel you'll be staying or for your quarantine. So they will be giving you a quarantine direction notice. It will be mentioning the hotel you'll be staying into, and then the police will escort you via bus from the airport to the hotel. So let's talk about checking in. So when the bus arrives to the hotel, an officer will be greeting your batch. They'll be giving you instructions of what to expect during check-in, what is the requirements during the 14-day period, what to expect, and if you have any questions, it's the best time to ask them. Upon arriving at the hotel, the police will be collecting the forms that they've given you at the airport, so you should have already filled up those forms. So it's only basic information like name, address in Australia, mobile number, birthdays, and some other personal information. They'd also be asking if anyone from the group will be sharing a room, and because as I've mentioned, you can share a room, so we'll be paying for one room and then for a number of sets of meals. So for this purpose, I would suggest to keep the forms with you. So do not put it in your check-in baggage, because at the airport they'll be putting your bags in the bus compartment. And there was one person within our batch that he said that he left his paper on the bag at the compartment, so the police just handed him over with a blank form, so he had to fill it up again. So they didn't allow him to go find his bag and get the paper, so he filled out it again. With the orientation, so he said that it's pretty slow, the process of checking in, because what happens is that everyone is sitting on the bus, and then they'll be calling out by your name, and then once your name has been called out, you'll be getting your bag from the street and then rolling it to the hotel to check in. So it takes one by one, so it's a bit slow. But what's really funny is when the police officer said that you are required to wear a mask every time you're opening the door. And of course it's not required, but he asked for you to wear clothes because the halls are monitored by CCTV, and unless you want to provide entertainment for the police, so just please wear clothes. So upon checking in, upon your name being called, you'll be getting your bags, going to another set of police officers giving you your welcome pack. So you'll be asked to get an envelope which will contain a welcome pack. So for myself, it's the welcome pack for Queensland accommodation. It also has the letter from Rydges, so the hotel, and quarantine wellness kit. So I think this is standard across Australia, not just Queensland. No, so this is only for Queensland. And also they're giving you 2 packs of face masks. So with the welcome pack, it says that it is version 1.0 from March 2021. So since the COVID quarantine regulations varies from time to time, they put in the dates in there. And it also mentions that, disclaimer, information is rapidly changing. We are working closely with our health counterparts in other jurisdictions and globally to ensure the most accurate information is available as quickly as possible. So that's good that they have the date in there. So in this pack, you'd be given instructions or information of what to expect during quarantine. They encourage you to use some activities to keep you busy during the 14-day period. And there's also advice hotline, so it's good that you have a directory whenever you need assistance with your mental health and well-being or other community and services that you require. So it also gives you information about COVID-19 and testing for it during the quarantine period, and also it gives you a summary of the symptoms, because they'll be asking you if you're experiencing any symptoms during the duration of your stay. With the wellness kit, I really liked what they have in here, because it has the activities to help add some joy to your day and care for your well-being when in hotel quarantine. So also it has the community service directory, which is helpful. I think you can use this if you're staying in Queensland and not just during the quarantine. They give you daily activity sheet and it's very detailed. So if you really didn't plan anything for your quarantine, at least it gives you options. So like listening to music, learning, exercise, drawing, coloring. So this is for both kids and adults. See, they even give you blank space so you can draw, doodle, or write anything. What else? And some activities for kids. Okay, moving on. Moving on. So, and then the usual. So when you're checking in at a hotel, so they give you information of their services. So I think what's useful in here is that meals. So it mentions the time that meals will be served, which we'll be discussing in part 2 of this quarantine video. So again, upon checking in, you can't select a room. So it will be pre-allocated among the number of visitors of arrivals. So as for me, I got a family room. So it's only me in the room, but I've got 2 king beds. It's a room fit for a family of 4. So I got plenty of room all to myself. So I was lucky for that. Every time they'll be telling you that face mask is required when opening the doors. There's also a notice by the door that says if you're opening the door to pick up your food, to take out garbage, you're required to wear a face mask. So if you didn't bring anything, I mentioned they're giving you 2 packs of face masks. Yeah, I didn't use any of these because I brought mine, so I was using cloth masks for the duration of the quarantine period. Yeah, so the only time I was able to take it off was when I was tested for COVID. So they also say that you can wear it again if you only used it for picking up food or when opening the door. So you don't really have to use a fresh one each time. So other than the activities mentioned on the wellness kit, you can also choose to work out from the room. So at the Rydges, they are allowing you, so they have an option for you to hire gym equipment. Gym equipment or little things like yoga mat, foam roller, ab wheel, latex bands, massage ball, booty bands, sliders, and resistance bands. So you can rent it for just $99 for 14 days. If you don't want those little things, you can hire a bike. So they are offering exercise bike directly to your room, so it just doesn't mention the rate. But yeah, if this is your thing, so you can do that. Or like for myself, so I prepared for the quarantine period, and then I brought a rope flow with me that I can use when I feel like exercising, or a yoga towel if I feel like doing yoga. But I think I did just once. But yeah. So other than that, so you can use the television. So there's a TV in there. It's not a smart TV, no direct connection to Netflix, but if you got a laptop and an HDMI cable, you can connect it and watch movies on the big screen. So I didn't try connecting my phone into the screen, so probably that will work too, but yeah, so those are just a few options. So while doing your research for the quarantine experience in Australia, you might have heard about fresh air breaks. So unfortunately for the Rydges at Fortitude Valley, there is no fresh air breaks. So you'll be spending the entire 14 days inside your room. And I'm not sure if it's just in my room, but the window won't open. So I've only got a full glass window, but I think I'm lucky enough because I'm getting direct sunlight at certain time of the day. But yeah, so no fresh air for 14 days. For the last part, so it's about the health checks and the COVID testing. So health checks, they do not monitor you on a day-to-day basis. So for some hotels, I think someone is knocking on the doors, getting the temperature. So in Rydges, they don't do that. So as for me, I brought my own thermometer. So I was monitoring my temperature on a day-to-day basis, but that's just a personal preference. So it's good that I didn't experience any symptoms and my temperature was okay. So I was thinking my COVID tests would turn out negative, which it did twice. So I think the first call that I got, so they're calling directly to your room. So the first call that I got probably was on day 3. So they told me that you'll be tested for COVID on day 5 and day 12. Yes, so you'll be tested for COVID twice. So in the first call, they just, actually for all the calls, they'll be asking for your name and your birthday and your address in Brisbane or in Australia. They also ask if you have a mobile number. And after I provided them with my Australian mobile number, they started calling on my cell phone instead of the hotel telephone. If you have an Australian mobile number, they would ask you if you'd be alright to receive an SMS for your COVID test results and also for the end of your quarantine stay. They would always ask you if you experience any symptoms, if you are unwell, if you need support. They would ask how are you spending your quarantine. I think the important part about their call is that they inform you that with any changes in legislation, it won't be applied to you. So you'd only be concerned about what the rules are when you enter the hotel. So if any chance they extend the required quarantine period, you still need to complete just the 14 days. They would ask what keeps you busy. So for me, I always mention that since I'm an accountant, so long as there's Wi-Fi and laptop, I'll be able to work. So yeah, so that's what kept me busy. And then they always ask, are you reaching out to your family and friends? So they really value mental health and ensure that you're talking to other people, because it might be too difficult for others to be contained in a room for 2 weeks. For the COVID testing, you'll be informed of the day of your test, but the time varies. So I also tried calling reception to inquire what time will the nurses be coming in, because as I've mentioned, I'm working from the hotel. And so as much as possible, I'd like to avoid having a meeting on the time that the nurses will come in. But unfortunately, even reception won't know when the nurses would come in. So they said it varies. So sometimes it's in the morning or in the afternoon. So you just have to be ready. For the COVID test, so they would knock on your door and then confirm your details, so your name, and birthday at the very least, and also ask again for your mobile number and if you'll be alright to receive the results via SMS. For the COVID testing at the Rydges, so you'd be asked to stand by the door and they'll do the procedures then. So they'll be putting in Q-tips or cotton buds through your nose and also through the roof of your mouth. It's not painful, so it was quick but pretty uncomfortable. So I had my COVID test done in the Philippines the same way, so I kind of know what to expect. It was quick, and then I'll be showing you a video of the process. I was able to capture both the first and second test. So the second test was done very quickly than the first one, but yeah, glad it's all done and that both turned out negative. With my first COVID test, I didn't get an SMS for the results, so I just received the information via phone call from the department. So someone called me the usual round of checks and then told me, did I receive any information about my COVID test? And I was a bit nervous because why would you have to call me to say the result? But yeah, so she said, don't worry, you tested negative. Woohoo! But yeah, so glad that for the second test, they sent me an SMS. So I got the text message less than 24 hours from the test, which is good because at least I've got an evidence in case someone asks, have you tested negative? Are you free to go out? So yeah, I've got an SMS saying that, saying my name. It didn't say my name, so just my birthday and that I am negative for COVID. That's it for the first part, so it's pretty quick than my previous video. So for the first part, we've covered the check-in, the wearing of face masks, what can keep you busy, health checks, and also COVID testing. So for the next part of the quarantine video, we'll be talking about meals, cleaning, and some tips. And some tips of how to make your quarantine stay productive and not traumatic. No, I think it's actually good if you just look at the bright side. So again, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, just let me know via the comments below. See ya. Finally! So I now got the key to this room, and you might have already gotten a peek, but it's a room for a family of 4. So I got this room assigned. I think it's being given at random. So there, I got 2 large beds. So probably I'll use this bed for week 1 and then the other bed for week 2. And then a quick peek. There's my office station. There's the kitchen countertop, and then the restroom. So before I explore the room, I've got a huge TV. Before I explore the room, might as well get a shower first because it's been more than 24 hours since the last. Alright, and then I'll tell you about the whole journey in a bit. Okay.